Well, update time is finally here. There's only one way we can begin today's video. We might as well kick things off with a brand new creeper update, boom. And while we're at it, a second big boom, new update for the new update. Good morning, besties. It's me, Waddles, and I can't believe I'm saying this. I missed it so much, but it is update day, my dudes. Today's update is a gigantic update that overhauls just about the entire overworld and is absolutely essential for this gigantic spring update that is coming, well, in the spring. From the Pale Garden to just about every single biome, sit back and relax. We're in for a big one. Here is everything in 1.21.60. Look, I'd forgive you if you declared that this update cycle began in the year 1800 because, well, practically it did. The preview cycle for the 1.21.60 update initially kicked off way back in November of last year. Now, alongside that fire creeper change that we saw in the cold open, Pale Garden, say hello to practically a brand new biome today. First things first is the map color. I mean, it's a little hard to see here because this is a pretty small map, but you can see clearly on that map, like right there where my fancy editor is zooming in, it's gray. Grayer than it ever was before. Previously, things like the pale leaves and the pale saplings were not showing up as gray on the map. Instead, I actually think it might have been a green color. Now, alongside this small subtle map change, we've got a much more significant shift into how the creaking heart block is actually going to work. We kick things off with the natural state. The creaking heart block on its own, no placement rules, rotation rules have been changed. The big shift here is what happens when you sandwich this log in between two pale logs, just like you would do for the setup of the manifestation of the creaking. Inside of this update, the creaking heart has a brand new block state, if you will, that is basically deactivated. If we have two pale logs on top and below or side to side of the creaking heart, well, it gets this dim glow now. Flip things over to the middle of the night, and just like before, the creaking will be able to spawn, and all of this buddy's gameplay mechanics are going to behave exactly like they would have. Well, most of them. My twitchy friend over there, Melissa, had gone ahead and picked out a beautiful name, like, for example, subscribe. It has a nice ring to it. Well, now, if I go ahead and name tag this creaking, well, I could actually name tag the creaking. Melissa, I rested up, flipped it back over to the daytime, and well, a name tag creaking inside of this update can now persist inside of the overworld. Now, if I smack this guy during the daytime, interestingly, the particles will, of course, connect to the creaking heart block, but no resin will be formed. While the creaking heart is in this dim state right here, it will never be able to form resin. And alongside this brand new creaking mechanic, we actually have a change in just how long the creaking will be able to stay out. Assuming we had a more normal and not name tag situation, the creaking would be able to manifest itself as soon as the sun kisses the horizon, and it'll be able to despawn as soon as the sun departs. It's like the smallest difference, but a difference nonetheless. Another change we've got here, if I were to smack a creaking, the skulk sensor will now detect that as a signal strength of 4. If the skulk sensor were to detect resin forming, well, you'll get a signal strength of 13. If you have a name tag creaking and you remove the creaking heart block, it will despawn just like normal. Don't do it. Just like that whole creaking being able to manifest itself at slightly different time mechanic, the eye blossom will kind of do the same. This thing will be able to open and close at slightly different times. It's so slight that it's hard to notice. Now, this is the most terrible example for this biome right here, but our old friend, the Pale Garden, star of the show so far today, well, inside of this update, the Pale Garden has been increased in size as well. It really doesn't look like it here, but trust me, it does. Taking it practically straight from the changelog here, the Pale Garden sizing has been increased and will now occupy more space that was once previously occupied by the dark oak forest biome. And alongside this lovely change, the woodland mansion will now be able to generate inside of this biome as well. Java gang, if you're watching this, I mean, like, huge shout out to you. I love you for that. But also, tragically, this is an update you're gonna have to probably wait at least another month for, with it being included inside of the spring drop update. Now, our next stop today is going to be, well, the entire overworld. But real quick, before we do that, a quick reminder to make sure you're subscribed and tap a like while you're at it too. Subscribe and your brain will then swell to a massive size never seen before. So Minecraft 1.21.60. This update clearly is not the spring drop update. Instead, this is the update that is presumably one update before that major one. With this update coming before the gigantic overworld overhaul we'll be seeing soon, well, actually, I guess we needed to have gigantic overworld overhaul V1. Because that's what this is. By far, the largest focus of this update is biome parity. We've got changes taking place across all of Minecraft Bedrock Edition's overworld. We'll kick off our overworld update with a couple of general changes that you'll be able to find across many biomes. For example, pumpkin patches. You'll be able to find these things a little bit easier because they're going to now generate in larger patches. I mean, look at how big this one is right here. Related to pumpkin patches, but a little bit different, to flower patches. Dandelions are now going to be alternated with poppies when generating in flower patches. This should all amount to the flower patches that you're able to find inside of your world, again across many biomes, looking a little bit more like diverse. And then we've got a huge change to sugar canes that'll pop up across many biomes as well. This is basically a small world generation change, but basically, sugar cane will no longer be able to just randomly replace other blocks in generation. Typically, in the past, you'd see this happen if you had some strange cave generation right next to where sugar cane should be generating as well. Now, next up, let's go ahead and zoom in and go biome by biome here. Now, due to the fact of how bedrock updates are done, and well, with the past update now basically being lost media, and also due to the fact that, well, we've done it before, I'm going to go ahead and save you the before and after today. Instead, if you'd like to see a little bit of before and after action on the biome updates, well, next up, check out this video, because in that video and the preview episodes that followed that one, we did just that, with a lot of before and after action. Walk yourself over into Minecraft's most neutral biome, the plains, and wow, take a look at all of the grass that you'll be able to find inside of this biome. We've got way more generating than would have ever before. And its sister, the tall grass, I mean, this stuff will generate in the plains still, just less commonly. However, when it does generate, the patches will be larger. Also, across the plains biome, the flower patches that you'll be able to find and now have a mix of flowers inside of their flower patches. They'll be a little bit larger and generate a little bit more frequently as well. So, like, these beautiful patches are exactly what I'm talking about. One small and final side note, I'm recording this update video in a future preview. Inside of this preview exists some features that do not exist inside of the main update quite yet. For example, bushes. So if you get a glimpse of, say, leaves generating across the forest in today's video, just know that that's not in this update quite yet. We'll talk about the experiments and that stuff a little bit later on. Stay tuned. From the plains biome, we'll swing it on over to the sunflower plains biome, and gosh, every single time I find this biome, I'm reminded how beautiful this thing is if you, well, only if you approach this biome from the direction of the sun. Anyways, our change here inside of this biome, as you might have noticed right off the bat, the sunflower patches, they'll be a little bit more cohesive now. Basically, that means they're in smaller clusters. The mushroom fields biome, or as it's called inside of the code, because it's the 90s on Bedrock still apparently, the mushroom island biome. Well, inside of the mushroom fields biome on Minecraft Bedrock Edition, the mushroom patches that generate across the biome, well, these patches are going to be a little bit larger now. I mean, the entire overworld looks different here, but the savanna biome is another one that looks shockingly different, because previously, I mean, the grass population in this biome, was relatively sparse. Now, take a look at it. You see how much short grass is generating? Yeah, it's been way increased. Similar to what went down inside of the plains biome, the tall grass will also generate less frequently here, but in larger patches than before. A biome that looks a whole world different for you Bedrock gang is the flower forest biome. Voila, my friends, allow me to introduce you to Flower Forest 2.0. This biome, oh, the changes are immediate. The trees all over the place, there are, well, like, actual trees now. Like, I was shocked to see, if you go back to that other video next and see just how the Flower Forest biome looked before, I was like, what? It was a plains biome. The flowers are now going to generate in more cohesive patches as well here, but really the big change is all of the trees you'll be able to find here. It's kind of beautiful. Yes, what is that but the taiga biome, our next stop today. Inside of the taiga biome, small ferns will generate a little bit more frequently now. On the other hand, the large ferns, well, they're a little bit more rare. Also, whenever it does happen, I don't know if I saw it happen anywhere over here, but when a sweet berry bush patch generates, it's bigger. The mega taiga biome, or correctly, if you just go with the times, old man, as this place is more modernly known on Minecraft Java Edition, the old growth spruce taiga and the old growth pine taiga. Well, inside of these biomes, you'll also be able to find more ferns all over the place. You'll be able to find larger mushroom patches, like look at that honker right there. And actually, if you're lucky, you'll be able to find sweet berry bush patches as well here. Just as a reminder, the difference between these two biomes, even though the changes are all the same, is the trees. So you can see these ones, we have the leaves only at the top. Meanwhile, the pine taiga right here, we've got the leaves all the way down the neck too. Alright, so the flower forest biome is very different, but the jungle biome as well, wow, you take a look at this, because inside of this update, I mean, it's actually now going to be a real jungle biome. Little tip for you, if you're on Bedrock and you've never survived a jungle like the Java one before, you've got to be way more careful here. Inside of this update, you'll be able to find a whole lot more dark spaces inside of the jungle, which will lead to more hostile mobs spawning inside of this biome in the daytime. Now, in order to make this jungle a little bit more of a jungle, we have trees generating way more dense than they would have before. Also, the amount of big trees you'll be able to find on this biome, aka the 2x2 giant tall jungle trees, well, there's more of them. A unique biome mechanic known as the jungle bush has been reworked here as well. On the outside of this thing, you'll have jungle leaves. On the inside of it, you'll have jungle logs. Wait a second. Is that still wrong? Well, anyways, jungle bushes will be a little bit larger, and melon patches, well, Minecraft's melons are now going to be a little bit larger too. Often found adjacent to the classic jungle, we've got the bamboo jungle, with a bunch of changes too. Inside of the bamboo jungle, we'll have a bamboo in larger and more dense patches. Like, check this out, it's way more difficult to actually navigate through this biome, but don't worry, it's still not impossible. The width of a bamboo is now going to be consistent across the entire plant as well. I believe previously it might have been thicker near the bottom and a little thinner near the top or something, but yeah, it doesn't work like that anymore. Bamboo aside, the trees inside of this biome will now be a little bit more dense as well. With the big jungle trees being the big standout here, they're going to generate much more frequently here. Also, jungle bushes, whenever they do generate, they'll be a little bit larger too. I'm not really seeing very many here though. A side note, because of how bamboo generates with the trees in this biome, this will lead to some really interesting looking tree generation with like deleted leaves going on like crazy. Sparse jungle biome. This is the jungle biome that has like some trees, but not very many. Bamboo has been completely removed from the sparse jungle. Instead of bamboo, you'll find a whole lot more ferns and short grass. The jungle bushes you'll be able to find here, they're going to be a little bit larger. And Minecraft's melons inside of this biome, the patches of them, they are larger too. A pretty shockingly different biome, and also a little bit difficult to show off to you right now because we have some interesting flowers generating here that wouldn't if you didn't have experiments on. Inside of the meadow biome, short grass will generate a little bit more commonly. However, note that in the next update, 1.20.1.70, it'll be a little bit more rare again. Tall grass will also generate a little bit more frequently here, and the flower patches, I mean, they're not as like coating the entire biome. If you remember how the meadow looked before, it was essentially just a gigantic flower field. Now you'll be able to find flower patches, like look at all the flowers except the wildflowers here. You'll be able to find flower patches that are a little bit more like, say, centered on themselves. Getting near the end of our big biome extravaganza today, next up, we've got the swamp biome. Within the internals of the swamp biome, the blue orchid flower patches will be a little bit more common and a little bit larger. Our unique tree to this biome, the swamp oak tree, will generate a little bit more often and will no longer always sit just at the surface. This will all translate to the swamp biome looking a little bit more natural, with our trees having a varied height. And then inside of the water, whenever you do manage to find any of it, the lily pads will cover this thing way more than they would have before. And of course, our sister swamp, the a terrible example today, but the mangrove swamp. Maybe I can find another one. Here we go, that's more like it. Now from the sky, pretty much immediately with this one, if you're familiar with the biome, you'll notice that there are way less trees inside of this biome than previously there would have been. However, inside of this biome, the trees will now actually be able to generate over the water. This is the new ability that these trees have gained on Bedrock Edition. Previously, they wouldn't have been able to do that. Also, inside of the water in this biome, you'll find more lily pads than before. Wait a second, is that chunk loading message new? That might be new. Now I want to wrap up our world tour here today with the desert biome and the badlands biome. Because inside of not one, but both of these biomes, you'll now be able to find more dead bushes than before. So that just about does it. I think I've hit every single biome that has been changed. As you can see here, our overworld changes, they're massive and they're all over the... Oh, wait, what's that? There's more? Oh, yeah. How could I forget the water? So we've got two interesting changes happening across almost every single ocean biome in the entire game. In every single ocean biome, except the frozen ocean, kelp will now generate more frequently and in much denser patches. And I mean that change. Give myself a little bit of night vision and look at the ocean from above, you can kind of see it here. Look at how dense some of these kelp patches are. Additionally, across just about every single ocean biome on the floor, wherever that is, how deep it is, you'll be able to find more seagrass generating as well. Now, on the flip side, sending things back over to land and flying above it, canyons. Oh my gosh, kind of like that right there. A little different. But canyons, a long-term, once much loved feature in Generation, they've returned to Minecraft Bedrock Edition inside of this update as well. Now, these canyons, despite the popular belief, they are actually not tied to any specific biomes. They can generate practically anywhere. But our big point here is that they'll actually be able to generate now, thanks to a handful of bug fixing that went down. Previously, canyons would like kind of generate, but basically the land would kind of cut right across them, and then when you have land cutting right across them, aka you have a no canyon, no bueno. This is such a nice feature. If you want to check this one out, what I recommend doing is flipping into like maybe a creative world and fly around in like a plains biome or something. They really stand out here. Look at that canyon. It's beautiful. The ravine, as it's also known. So I've got one right there. I go ahead and fly over here. It looks like I maybe have another one or over there or over there. I don't know. But this one right here, this is like the exact perfect example of what I'm talking about. It is so gorgeous and I love to see it back. All right, now biomes. You know, I love the overworld. I could explore it all day long, but for real this time, that's about it. We have more changes though. Java gang, this is another update that'll be coming to you months down the line here, but listen. Ooh, that sounds good. The iron block. Yeah, those are brand new placing sounds, and those sounds are going to go for every single other iron thing as well. Listen. Oh, it's gorgeous sounding. It sounds so good. Brand new iron block sounds that like... the walking sounds too. They sound so good. It sounds like actual metal. We've got a little breeding bug fix that is going to affect not only sheep that are colored, but also pets with their dyed collars. That's going to be Dear Bonzo and Sweet Kitty Cash. So if we had colors that would mix to say like, you know, color theory wise, form another color, let's say red and blue. If I go ahead and make them make love, then look at their baby. The baby, the colors, well, they kind of like mix together and yeah, you get like the whole rainbow. And that same exact mechanic will happen with animal collars as well. If I had red collar, blue collar, baby collar is purple. Ooh, now I wanted to talk about technical changes in this video because there are a couple of gigantic ones, but I didn't want to bore you at the beginning. But take a look, my friends. I jump, I hit pause, and well, the game is properly paused. The pause screen, when you pause the game right there in the corner, this is new right there. The whole screen, I mean, it's kind of been refreshed. But yeah, you can actually pause the game now. So check this out. If I have mobs walking around and I go ahead and pause the game, the mobs freeze, I freeze, everything freezes. I mean, yeah, that's what pause means after all. Now, if you don't like that, inside of the settings, inside of general right here, you can go ahead and flick this screen off right here. Enable game pause. If you turn this off, then the pause screen will work just how it did before, where it doesn't really pause, it just pops up these options. Again, that's in settings general, right here, this little toggle. Now, right above that toggle, we've got another new one, filter profanity. This is a toggle that has been on by default for years and was never accessible. You can now go ahead and flip that off and, well, look, I gotta keep the video clean for the sponsors, but, yeah, with profanity turned off, well, whatever I said would have been revealed. We've got a change inside of this update that I swear has been in Bedrock for a while. Maybe it's like a bug fix or something, but you can use shears on a pair of vines and listen. It will now actually stop the growth of those vines. I swear, correct me if I'm wrong, but hasn't this not been in the game for a while? Like, why is this in the changelog? Was it bugged or something? And this will also work for Calpa, by the way, as well. It's a nice little way to maybe, like, prevent your plants from growing when you don't want them to grow. Now back over on the main menu for this one, create brand new world experiments. We've got a new toggle inside of this update. In order to check out the final stuff we're going to check out today, you will need to turn this experimental toggle on. Keep in mind that though this stuff does feel really polished, it is experimental, so it could break your world, and it might end up changing by the next update release date. So really here, there's only one spot we could begin, and that is, of course, with the beautiful pig. So this pig right here is now known as the temperate pig. You'll be able to find this spawning in most of like the, say, plain biomes that you have been able to find the pig spawning in before. But if I were to walk on, mosey on over to a warmer biome, well, the pig looks completely different. This is a warm pig. It's all orange now, mechanically exactly the same drops and everything. But it's like, you know, just different looking. Now also, real quick, these narcissists trying to steal the show, the leaf blocks too. This is part of that experimental toggle. Leaves now all have particles that will drip down from them on occasion. Now, these are simply just particles. You can't, like, interact with them, pick them up, or anything like that. But it will happen whether the leaf naturally generates or you actually, like, say, properly place it down as well. And like I mentioned, this particle effect will happen for every leaf in the entire game. But wait, there's more, because there is another pig variant as well. This pig, the cold pig. Look at that pig. That's my favorite one right there with that outfit, like the speckled dots, the fur. Oh, you look so good, dude. This is a pig that you'll be able to find in Minecraft's colder biomes. What is this, like the extreme hills biome, whatever they call it? But also places like the taiga biome as well. But wait, there's still more. This is going to be like basically the final one, but it's still more. My explorer friends. What is that? Tap like, huh? Interesting messages aside, we can go ahead and slide into the crafting table. Place one ingot in the middle and then chisel the stone bricks all the way around the side, and Oh my god, at last you don't need netherite to make this thing. The lodestone is way cheaper to craft than ever before. And quite beautifully, alongside that lodestone update, if one were, say, exploring the overworld and wait a second, what's that? If one were exploring the overworld or the nether, really anywhere that ruined portals can generate, one is able to find a ruined portal and then finds the chest and opens it. Well, it seems like just about every time, but clearly not everyone, but pretty often, you'll be able to find lodestones actually generating inside of those chests now. And that's it for our experimental features inside of this update so far. That's all we've got. For even more of those experimental features, check out literally any of the snapshot videos. And for a little bit of that before and after action when it comes to the biomes, check out the preview video I talked about earlier on. Minecraft 1.21.60, a beautiful update that changes the entire overworld and implements a lot of really nice changes. If you find a cool secret change that I missed, tell me all about it down below or over on the subreddit. And while you're headed down below, tap like and subscribe. It's been me, Grammy Award winner Waddles, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much.